What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Monster Legends. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button to show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright guys, today is going to be the maze analysis day, right? Okay, so I always wait, at least a few days into a maze before I start making videos. I've waited about, 6 days on this one. Maybe a little longer than I should have, but there's always other stuff coming up, so we gotta do that stuff too. Anyways, I like to wait because you never know if things get changed. I don't have an analysis out that I've got to go back and make a different video about the exact same monsters to say, okay, everything that I said was wrong, it's been changed and all that business. So, I wait. I wait patiently, and then I make my analyses. Analysi? Is there a plural for that? I don't know. I then make my analysis of the monsters. So, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go only through the new ones. Old monsters like, Karasu, Mekarasu, Harusami, and such like that. We're not going to, go over them because they're old. They've been around. People kind of know about them. If you don't, there will probably in the future be an analysis on them on the channel. But for analyses, it's just going to be the new stuff. So, Kaori, Oikawa, and Kihaku or whatever, Kihaku, I don't know. But we're going to go over those guys, so let's go ahead and jump in with that, and then we'll be back at the end. Alright guys, so up first here is the epic Kaori. Little thing here, I'm probably going to mess up every name and skill name here because I am not Japanese, therefore I do not know how to speak their words. So those may be a little bit butchered, but whatever. Alright, so we're going to jump into the stats, the skills, talk about it for a little bit, you know how we do. So let's jump in. The power stat at level 90, 2,940. I'm going to assume this is a pretty respectable power stat for an epic. I don't keep super up to date on epics because I don't really use many of them, to be honest. The life, 20,057. So again, like I said, I don't really know where this fits into the epic hierarchy, but whatevs. Speed, 2,900, and I'm going to assume that's pretty fast too. I did look at Karasu and Mekarasu, and they have 2,900, I believe. Speed as well, so I'm assuming a decently fast epic, but whatevs. Alright, so the books they're in, this is a female and good legions, so not super important for an epic, but for the sake of consistency, we're going to put it in there. So there we go. Mass gold per minute, 142. Again, not super important on your epics, that's more of a legendary thing, and whatevs. So down, trait, immunity to stun. Anytime you're immune to a crowd control effect, that's a plus, so immune to stun, not bad. Alright. Special skill. Here's where you cannot always trust the wiki, right? So we're going to go ahead and it says in the description that it's massive thunder damage to all enemies and gains an extra turn. However, the tooltip says it's single enemy. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and go with the tooltip here and not the description because believe it or not, description lies sometimes, alright? It does that. So I'm going to say it's a 65 power single enemy attack gives you an extra turn. Alright, if it is AoE, that's great, it's a bonus, but extra turn skill, not bad. Alright, so we're going to move over to the skills. Over here, we got Be Water. This is a self-buff. It's going to give you immunity to freeze, water protection, which means I believe you take half damage from water attacks, and also is going to give her a damage boost. That's nice. Alright, moving over. Oh, and an extra turn. Almost forgot that. That's an important part of that. Extra turn on top of that, so that's an important thing. Alright, moving over, we've got Fear No Dark. This is going to be another self buff, but this is going to give you dark protection, immunity to possession, an extra turn, and precision. That's always good, right? You need precision. Alright, so that stacks with your damage boost, you get what I'm saying? There's a theme here. Moving over, we've got, starts with an S, Shikaka Waza. We'll go with that. Close enough, right? Close enough. This is a single enemy 45 power thunder damage that gives you an extra turn. Up to you whether or not you take this. It kind of plays in, may not though. Moving down, we've got the Deadly Heiku, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I'm horrible at this. The tooltip here says single enemy. The description says it's an AoE. Okay, if it's an AoE, that's a pretty powerful AoE. That's really solid. But if the tooltip's right, it kind of feels like it's more in line with an epic. I don't really know which one's right, but for the sake of erring in the side of caution, I'm going to say it's a single enemy attack. And if it isn't, that means it's even better than it was. But if it's not, then, I'm right. So, whatevs. Anyways, 35 power. This is going to give a bleeding and a sunburn to the enemy, or enemies, quotation marks. So, solid skill, good for damaging bosses and stuff like that, because sunburn and bleed aren't blocked by bosses. It's 25% life reduction. Not bad. One you're probably going to take, maybe not, depends. Moving over, we've got the Star Killer. This is going to be a 65 power light damage, so very heavy light damage, 0 cooldown, and it also is going to give a sunburn to the enemy. I would probably take this on mine if I was going to use her in a damage dealing role, which you probably will. But anyways, moving over one more time, we got the Whale Hunter. This is a 60 power thunder damage to a single target, and it's going to cause the target to bleed, again with 0 cooldown. So you got a choice there between bleeding or sunburn. You can actually take both if you'd like to. Doesn't really matter. Up to you. They're both solid skills, but now here's what I'm going to jump in and talk about, because a lot of people have been trying to compare Kaori to monsters like Voltaic and Xyla, and in all honesty, it's not even close, okay? It's not even close. It's not even a good comparison, okay? Because this monster is nothing like those monsters. All right, everyone has this habit of seeing extra turn and immediately say, oh, it's like Voltaic. No, okay? Just because it has extra turns does not mean it's like Voltaic, all right? It's like it that it gives extra turns, but they're very different, okay? Voltaic is a damage-dealing damage spammer. That's what he does. He spams damage over and over and over and over and over again until he's out of stamina, killing your enemies. Kaori cannot do that. Not even possible. The cooldowns on her skills do not allow her to chain damage over and over again. Her extra skills are more, to me, like Mercurius, where it's kind of buffing you up to do your last bit of damage. That's kind of where she sits. So, as you read, Be Water and Fear No Dark, those are buffing stats. That gives her immunities to freeze and possession, and since her trait's immunity to stun, that gives her the trifecta of crowd control immunities, right? Right. On top of that, she's getting damage boost and precision. Again, that's going to buff her last hit before she goes on weight. She can't burn through all of her stamina at once. It doesn't happen, alright? It can't happen. So, no, she is not like Voltaic. No, she is not like Xyla. She is most like Mercurius, in my opinion. And either way, she's still an epic. So she's not going to be one of these epics that you take to level 120 to be fighting everyone else. I mean, she might work at that, but you're going to be better off taking a 120 Voltaic in, for sure. Anyways, that's her. So runing as an epic, generally if you're a higher level player, it's going to be 3 team speed on her probably, generally, except for all epic wars where you might have to change things up a little bit. Up to you. If you're a lower player and she's still someone you're using in a functional role, probably damage dealer is going to be your strongest role. A speed, a team speed, and 2 strength probably. I see a lot of people at a lower level using 3 strengths on their damage dealers, and you can get away with that early on, but later in the game, you have to quit that practice, or you make your denial monster too slow. Okay? So, that's how I'd rune her. I probably wouldn't go 3 speed. You could, to give her all the, immunities and stuff like that early on. Kinda up to you in there. But that's her, so we're going to move on now to Oikawa. Alright, so here we are at Oikawa. I think that's how you say it. Like I said, I'm going to butcher all these names and all these skills. It's going to happen, so prepare yourself. But let's go ahead and jump in. His stats, the power is 3,465. That's damage dealing stats, works very well for damage. The life stat, 41,300 and, what is that, 319? I can't read it right now, but whatevs, it's up there, 41,300 something. So it's very tanky life stat, like Oros, Agursus levels, you know what I'm saying? But we'll get into some stuff in a little bit why he may not be the best tank. Alright, we'll talk about it. Speed, 3,157, so he is quite slow. That's kind of in line with a tank monster. This is where Shannara's Bodyguard kind of shines a little bit over him. The high life stat plus a little faster, but whatevs. Here's Oikawa, the first nature tank there actually ever was. It's kind of nice, I guess. Books, Evil Legions, and Underworld. Max gold per minute, 155. The trait, Hardened. Now, Hardened is normally a pretty good status trait, I said. But on a tank, it's probably one of the weaker traits, okay? You're probably better off taking one like Oros or Agursus with a Mountain trait, which is a built-in immunity to freeze and stun. But it's not horrible, and it can be worked around because of the skills, and we'll get to that in a second. Now, a special skill here, I don't even know. Starts with a K. This is it's a 70 power AoE possess, so it actually hits pretty hard, and it possesses the enemy, so that's kind of nice as well. It's not like a really tanky skill or anything. It's more of a damage dealing skill with crowd control built in, which is kind of odd, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Moving over to his skills, we have, was that Kimorite? Something like that. Single enemy 65 power special damage with a stun. So it's high damage, which is great. It is a stun, which is also great, and it's special damage, so it's unresisted, which is great again. 3 greats. Solid skill. Very solid skill. Moving over, we have the Nodo Masashi something weird. Alright? It's a thing. There's going to be a self buff. It gives him taunt, which is, your tanking deal. He gets immunity to stun, freeze, and possession. So if he gets this skill off, he becomes immune to all forms of crowd control, pretty much, other than stam drain. which is nice. But as you can see in this taunt, there's no double life, there's no shielding, it's just taunt. And the status effect, immunities. So that kind of weakens him on the tanking front. Moving over, we've got the super something. Starts with a T and an S like tsunami, okay? This is an AoE 45 power, nature damage. Nothing really built in there, just damage. So it's a heavy hitting nature damage, it's pretty solid, but he's got another skill, I think you'd probably take over that, and we'll talk about that in a second. Moving on down, we've got something that's Kaori. Another self buff here. This is going to remove all the negative status effects from himself. He's going to get double damage, a taunt, and a 40% heal. So that may help him, if he's, hurting already, give him some of that health back. Also the double damage, which makes him pretty solid in a damage dealing role as well. You know what I'm saying? Double damage is always nice. But since he has no mirror or reflect damage, he's kind of weak on the tank front again. So whatevs. Moving over, we've got the Hazuoshi or something like that, something along those lines. It's a 40 power AoE, but this one's got a 50% chance to stun all the enemies. I would probably take this over 45 power just because the 50% chance to stun is always handy. It can save your life. It really can. Moving over one last time, we've got the last skill on the picture. I'm not going to try the names anymore, alright? This is a single enemy 55 power special damage, and this is also going to be another single target stun with one cooldown. So, 2 stunning skills in AoE with a chance to stun, and 2 different self buffs that kind of give you a choice what you want to choose to run him as. I would assume a lot of people look at him and say, tank, right? Take him as a tank. I'm going to say no. Alright, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to tell you why. One, yes, he can taunt. Yes, he can give himself immunity to damage, double damage and heal and stuff like that, which is nice for a tank. It is nice. But he has no shields to apply to himself. You have to rely on a support monster to give him shields. He has no mirror or reflect damage to actually deal any damage back while he's tanking. And he doesn't have double life even. So, I would lean toward a damage dealing role. He's slow as balls in damage. Absolutely. Super slow, so this guy's probably going to be taking a speed rune instead of a team speed rune, and or 2 speed runes and a strength rune, kind of up to you. Like that, kind of a setup in that area. 1 speed and 2 strength, or 2 speed, 1 strength, just to negate that horrible speed. But because he's able to give himself double damage while he heals himself and does a taunt with that high life stat, still makes him a very solid damage dealer. Okay, just because you're taunting doesn't mean you have to be tanking. You have to have tons of life runes on him. You can take that super high base HP stat and twist it to your advantage in a damage dealing sense as well, and that's probably how I would run mine, due to the fact that there are much better tanks out there. I would take a Gursus over this guy every day of the week, not just because he's fire damage, compared to nature, but because the mirror is huge, the ability to give yourself a shield is huge, and he doesn't have that. So maybe a life rune in there if you're running damage dealer, maybe just to help him not die on that first round, but like I said, he's got really high base life anyway, so I would still lean damage dealer for mine, just because his tanking skills aren't that great. Really, to be honest, they're just not. Alright, so now we move on to the last monster, Kihaku. Alright guys, so here we are at Kihaku. This guy's pretty freaking amazing, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, we'll get into all that stuff here in a second. So first up, we're gonna jump into the stats like we always do. It's only got like 3168 power, which is, kind of common among denials. They're not meant to do a lot of damage. They're mainly, to be fast, right? Right. So his life, 29,556. He's got a pretty solid life stat. That's pretty tanky. That's good for denial. It means they're not getting one shot and really ruining you like Dr. Victor. That's his biggest weakness in denial. He can get one shot. So there you go. Makes him a little harder to one shot. The speed, 3,476. Very, very fast. Very, very fast. Actually, I think this makes him one of the fastest dragons, the fastest sea, and I'm not sure about Good Legion, to be honest. But a very, very fast monster, which is good for denials. You want to have a high base speed. That means you can get them a little bit of an edge over other denials, right? Right. So as you can see, he's in 3 books. He's not just a dragon, he's sea, Good Legion, and apparently water as well, duh. But that's great. That means he's useful in a lot of different spots, and he's actually a pretty useful monster overall anyway. So moving down, we got the max gold per minute, 155. That sucks, but no one really cares. Not a humongous deal. The trait, Hardened. There could be better traits, like I said, an immunity to freeze. Being in the water book would probably be nice, or an immunity to, mountain. Oh yeah, but no, that's not going to happen. That'd be way OP. But Hardened trait's still a very good trait. Means he can dodge status effects if someone does get the jump on him, which is nice. Makes him good for defense as well. Moving down, special skill. This is called Shihan, I guess. We're going to stick with that. That's what we're going to say. This is a 70 power AoE water damage. It's going to give a stun to all enemies. That's great. Not a lot of water monsters are immune to stun, so that means that special will probably get somebody. Somebody's getting stunned, right? All right, moving over to his skills. Here we go again with the weird names. Kazushi, maybe, perhaps. We'll say Kazushi, all right? This is a multiple enemy AoE. It's going to give the entire enemy team possession and freeze. Now, a lot of people saw this and said, "Oh, that's stupid. He shouldn't be freezing monsters he's possessing. It wastes the possession, right?" In a way, yes, it does. But you got to look at the high-end gameplay here. Okay, most people run monsters with bulwark traits, mountain traits, things like that. This skill is able to penetrate those. I mean, a bulwark trait gives you a 50% chance to dodge a status effect, but if you're dropping, two separate controlling effects like freeze and possession, you're much more likely to land one. And that's very, very powerful, not just on offense, but for defensive purposes, okay? Very, very strong. But you can see it is offset by a very high stamina cost. 54 stamina. That's really hefty. It's almost half his stamina. It's crazy. But there's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? It's a very, very powerful skill. This allows him to control monsters even, like if you're immune to possession, he still catches you with the freeze. If you're immune to freeze, he still catches you with the possess. So, very, very solid denial. I would say this guy's probably one of the top denials in the game, and he probably will be for a while, depending on, I guess what comes out next, right? But very, very solid skill. Amazing. All right, the next one is, I think it's Ki. I could be wrong. This is going to be an AoE ally thing, all right? This is going to give you life regeneration and stam regeneration. The reason I included this in the list is because his stamina cost on his skills is very high. So having this is a must if you do not have a support monster with stam regen in your team, because he's going to run out of stamina very quick dropping these big skills, you know what I'm saying? All right, so moving over, we've got Kyudo. This is an AoE again, but this is just stam leak. I included it just for the sake of including it. I don't think it's one you might take because, stam leak's nice, don't get me wrong, but his other skills just seem a tad bit more useful, all right? So we're going to go down here to, what is that? Jiuwaza? Something like that. This is going to be another AoE. Is that 48 stamina? Very heavy stamina cost. This is a 50% chance to possess and freeze the enemy. Now, that's not quite as powerful, obviously, as the first one, but it's still very good. 50% chance to land Possess and Freeze means you're pretty much going to land at least one of them on somebody. Now, again, Bulwark, Harden, Tough traits and stuff like that, you get a little less back for this, but if you open with the big main one, you probably got the first round going to you anyway. So I say this is probably one you want to take just as a backup, because you're probably going to land one of the status effects with it anyway. Again, high stam cost, though. All right, moving over, we've got Agatsu, maybe, perhaps. I included this. I like it. It's a single target, Possess and Freeze. This isn't a 50% chance, it's a 100% chance. So it's kind of one of those things that you can follow up after your main attack to get one other person either guaranteed possessed, guaranteed froze, or even both, depending on who it is. And very useful to hit against someone with Bulwark. So very solid skill there. I included it just because it's not an AoE, but it's still good. All right? All right, last up here is Katsu Jinkin. This is an AoE with 0 cooldown. It does no damage, but it gives you a 50% chance of applying possession and freeze to all enemies. Again, 42 stam cost, so very heavy, but because it is spammable, you probably won't be spamming it anyway because you'll run out of stamina very quick. But it's kind of a nice little backup skill to have for another chance to get an entire AoE freeze or possess on. Solid skills, very solid skills. I don't know if I'd take all 3 of the AoE possess and freezes. I'd probably take Kazushi, the guaranteed, Jiuwaza, which is the 50% with damage, and I'd probably take Agatsu and Ki if it was mine, just because I kind of like the synergy of those skills. I think it would work pretty well. But this guy's obviously denial, there's no debating that. 3 speed or nothing. Always 3 speed. Always, always, always. Never anything else. Never even one time anything else. 3 speed. Okay? It's going to hammer that home. But this guy's going to have a huge amount of mileage, okay? PvP defense teams. This is amazing. The people that are spamming, attacks with Bulwark trait monsters, this guy can still screw them, okay? He can still ruin your day because he can still land a status effect pretty reliably even against Bulwark, which is very powerful. Fighting generals, same story. This guy's going to be very solid for taking those guys down. on a defensive purpose, and especially with the update change to possession coming around, this could be very nasty. Very, very nasty defender. Also an attacker. 3476 base speed puts him in an upper echelon of denials. So he's going to be very useful in all your Dragon Wars, your Sea Wars, your Good Legion Wars. Fantastic denial monster. I would say he's probably one of the best in the game. If you can, this guy, absolutely do it. When he comes up on offer later, if he's not nerfed, he's one that you should absolutely be saving your gems back, pick one of these guys up. He's going to be very good. But there it is, guys. That's the analysis. Let's get back. Alright, guys, so there's the monsters from the maze. Not bad monsters, pretty solid. Some you probably want to shoot for. Anyways, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, don't forget to leave those in the down there, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you liked the video, please make sure you smash that thumbs up button and show your support, and I will see you guys next time.